Thank you for viewing this session on effective tools for requirements and concept development. In this discussion, we'll be focusing on the quality function deployment, or QFD, functionality that's included within the Triptych toolset that's in the SDI Tools version 3 software. In the SDI Tools Triptych software, which is developed primarily to support tools for requirements and concept development, we have already discussed the affinity diagram tool, the analytical hierarchy process, importance tool, and now we will look at the relationship of these two tools to performing quality function deployment, or QFD. The Triptych tools are a set of three basic fundamental concepts integrated together to support the voice of the customer, innovation or design alternative development, and then also design selection tools. In prior tutorials, we've discussed how you can use affinity diagram concepts to assess with understanding the problem, organizing ideas, and identifying the basic needs and wants of your stakeholders. The next step was to take basic information from your affinity diagram or from other sources and prioritize this information using the pairwise comparison techniques that are part of AHP, or the analytical hierarchy process. In this session, we will look at transitioning prioritized information into a quality function deployment type matrix and use it to help us define the hows for various whats, understand the what to how relationships that could impact the development of the product, and then to start the identification of critical requirements and the decomposition of these requirements to lower levels. Next steps, once we understand the basic requirements, would be to create alternatives for the design, take various alternatives, understand the criteria that need to be satisfied for a given approach, determine the best alternative using design selection methods, and then finally using FMEA techniques to support your risk identification, risk assessment events. So in this session, we'll be discussing quality function deployment and primarily looking at it as a tool to support a program team in translating the voice of the customer or the needs of the stakeholder into your design information, production information, and manufacturing process information, and to use this information to support the development of the requirements in each one of these areas. So what we're going to see is an application of QFD where we can use it to transfer stakeholders' needs and requirements, and then evaluate the strength of the relationship between these needs and requirements, and use that to understand how to effectively approach the design process. A classical house of quality, or QFD matrix, is shown on this slide. We start off typically with identifying the stakeholders' needs, which are typically identified as whats within a QFD matrix. Understanding the importance of each one of these whats and including this information. The next step would be then to determine the basic performance characteristics, or hows, that would support the achievement of the stakeholders' needs or wants, and then to assess the relationship between the hows and the whats, and then come up with numerical scores in terms of completenesses and technical weights that could be used to address the thoroughness of your approach or your identified hows to support the stakeholder wants, and then also to help us in understanding the relative importance of the hows through using their technical weights. And then there's other information that can be included in a house of quality also, such as the interaction between the hows with other hows, target values and directions, specific values that would quantify the individual hows, requirements planning tools, and then also competitive benchmarks against the stakeholder needs, and then also against the performance characteristics, the whats and the hows respectively. So let's go look at how we can facilitate the QFD process using the Triptych tools within the SDI Tools version 3 software. Okay, so going to the spreadsheet that we've been working on in prior tutorials, we have gone through the process of creating affinity diagrams to capture basic stakeholder information and then identify key groups or key focus areas that need to be addressed that could be supported by the information that's shown below in the yellow cells, or the ideas. The next step in the process was that we took the basic group information, the key characteristics that we need to satisfy, and we transferred those into an analytical hierarchy process tool in order to come up with a rank ordering. So taking this hypothetical example, what we've identified is that potentially the most important aspect of developing an effective QFD diagram would be, how do we use the information? How do we document the information maybe next? How do we make sure we have the right attendees and representation to contribute to this information collection? And then how do we facilitate the overall meeting that will be used for collecting stakeholder needs and information? So at this point we have basically rank ordered the information that could be used as the watts in a house of quality or a quality function deployment type matrix. So to take this further, let's go open the SDI Tools, and we'll open the Triptych software. And after the tools open as an add-in to Excel, you'll have either the toolbars available on your desktop, or in the add-ins ribbon you'll have the toolbars available to support the next steps of your session. So now then, in order to start a QFD, there's two different methods you could use to start building a house of quality. One would be to go to the new worksheet icon in the Triptych toolbar, from which we can go to the Voice of Customer tab and select QFD. We can identify, if we want to, this is an optional step, the number of maybe watts and hows you want to have in your QFD matrix, and I'll do 4 watts and 4 hows, and we'll click OK, and we will have created then a basic house of quality, all right, of the dimensions that we specified before. So now then, in this spreadsheet with this QFD template, we can go in and start entering our information. I'll just do these generically for now, you know, watt 1, watt 2, and so forth. You can type in your information for your hows, these two, how 1, how 2, and so forth. And then you can enter in importance information if you desire. So here we have on a 5-to-1 scale which one's the most important, which one's the least important, and you can put importance as scores. You select those if you desire, or you can just type the numbers in as your option. In each of the watt versus how intersections is a drop down for allowing you to select the relationship, the strength of the relationship between that particular watt and how combination. And you can do these as highs, mediums, lows, and fill in the appropriate entries. Or if you've assessed a cell and you determine that there's no relationship at all between that watt and how, then you can just enter a dash to indicate it's been assessed but there's no relationship. And also, you might have observed that as I was entering this information, then completeness scores are being computed based on the importance and the strength of the relationship, and technical weights are being computed based once again on the importance and the strength of the relationship in the columns above. And the end result is we get then a importance score which tells us the relative importance of a particular how to satisfying the needs of the stakeholders as reflected by the watts. And then other capabilities you can that are supported within the tool is you can always expand it by inserting more watts. You can expand it by inserting additional hows, space for those. And you can enter upper spec limits for particular hows. You can enter target values, lower spec limits, the units for those quantifiable targets, and then a direction icon that you can enter to indicate whether a value that's specified, would you be preferred to increase it, hit a target for that value, or get a lower result in terms of satisfying the stakeholders' needs. And then additional information for identifying competitor information, indicating whether you want to flow a requirement to the next level house of quality. There are matrices for requirements planning type information, for assessing against current developments and maybe future activities, planned activities, and maybe what the type of improvement you need in an area in order to meet your objectives. And then competitive benchmark information related to the watts can be filled in also. Okay. So now that we have a basic house of quality, other things that we can do with it would be to do the how versus how comparison. So anywhere you have two hows, you can compare those in terms of the degree of correlation or contradiction between those hows, and you can enter then the appropriate symbols in each one of these to indicate that how versus how relationship in terms of a strong positive correlation, positive correlation, negative or strong negative correlation. Now then, I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll go back now to the AHP that we had before, and I'll show you another technique you can use to start your QFD type activities. Well, from the QFD, we potentially say we want to use these items to be the watts within our QFD, and we want these scaled importances to reflect the importances that we're going to assign to each one of these in our QFD matrix. So we can go and select to copy this worksheet, or basically flow it down into a next house of quality by using this export icon that's in the Triptych toolbar. So in this case, we're going to take what's in this existing AHP, we're going to take all the information, and we're going to select to flow it down to a QFD matrix, and we'll put this in a different QFD matrix than the one we had before. I'll flow this down. We'll get a standard message to tell us we're going to do the importances on a 5-to-1 scale, and then we will complete the transition or flow down to the next matrix. Okay, so here are the 4 items we had in the AHP are now moved into this matrix. And then another thing we can do is, since we see that the text doesn't fit appropriately, well, we can always go format this, and we can take rows and columns, and you can resize these as appropriate. So here I'll just go adjust the column width or the column height, row height, and we can adjust the column width also if you desire to do so, in order to appropriate size the cells to fit the information you have available to you. Okay, so we'll go apply this, close it, and now we have our Resize QFD. Now you see also that at the same time that we brought over the key watts, we have importance information that was brought over from the analytical hierarchy process. So at this time, we can expand our matrix to include a different house. In this case, I'm going to right click and insert additional house in this matrix. Okay, you can add as many as you want, and then we can start looking at this and say, okay, how do I effectively use affinity diagrams results? Okay, well, one idea or a how could be is to incorporate with the requirements. Whoops, let me go back and correct that. Incorporate with requirements development process. Okay, so it's a key step of the process for developing requirements. You know, we may look at other information, and we'll talk to other stakeholders and see as far as it may be related to attendees and representation is include specialty engineering. In sessions. So this would be like reliability, maintainability, producibility, safety engineering, other functions like this. Okay, maybe something else is to use electronic or software. Let's do it that way. Use a software documentation tools. Okay, so we could continue on and look at these, and we see here now if we want to go assess relationships, use of affinity diagram results, is there a relationship of that with incorporating with the requirements development process? And let's say yes, there's a higher relationship. Using affinity diagram results, is it related to including a special engineering in session? Let's say there's a low relationship, and let's say that there's no relationship with the using software documentation tools. How we document it? Well, obviously there's a high relationship there with the software documentation tools. Information documentation, maybe there's a low relationship with special engineering, and this could be a medium with respect to using it as part of our requirements development process. Okay. Obviously for attendees representation, then a high relationship with including special engineering, and we go through and continue this assessment. And what you'll see is as we do this, we're getting an indication for the what's more important for solving this problem. Obviously it looks like that at this point in time there's a high importance or technical weight of incorporating with the requirements development process. The next most important would be the use of software documentation tools, and then finally including special engineering as part of this also. Now within the Triptych tool QFD function here, you can include graphs to look at maybe in technical importance Pareto's, completenesses, other options of things you can graph here, target trends, what importance trends can be included, and appropriate graphs are then included so you can very easily see how different computer results compare to others in the tool also. Now another feature of the tool is that once you've completed a house of quality, and even though this one is incomplete, I'm going to go ahead and execute the next step, which would be to flow this down to the next house of quality. So remember, this is just interim results now, not a final QFD, but for the sake of demonstration purposes, we can go now to the Triptych toolbar and flow down to the next level. And when I do so, I get a warning message that says that this active QFD worksheet has problems, and I can click OK to view the problems or cancel to ignore them. So if I click OK, an assessment will be performed of this particular QFD matrix of 6 key features or items that need to be checked as part of any QFD before you go to the next step. And in this case, we see that we have watts that are empty. So in other words, watt number 4, meeting facilitation, has no relationships assigned to it. We see also that there's a problem with the watts with no strong or high relationships. Well, that's duplicated by meeting facilitation watt once again. And then maybe watts with too many relationships. So this is kind of a warning, but our information documentation seems to apply to everything. Okay, and what you can do now is take the opportunity to go fix these items, complete it, whatever it may be, or just leave it as it is. That's certainly your option if you want to do this. So at this point in time, I'm going to close this window, and I'm not going to take any further actions, but I'm going to go and do the flow down again, and now cancel and tell it to go ahead and ignore the problems and go ahead. And you see what will happen is that we can tell us that we can identify which ones we want to flow down to the next house of quality into a new worksheet for a QFD matrix. And I'll flow this just to show you how it performs. And we see now that we've taken the 3 hows that we've identified before. They have now become watts in the next house of quality, and then we can continue developing the next house of quality at the next level of decomposition of these requirements. Okay? So that's the basic functionality of the QFD tool that's within the Triptych software package. Other functions you can apply is you can resize the whole matrix to expand it, watts and hows simultaneously. Obviously inserting additional watts, deleting unnecessary watts, inserting hows, deleting hows. We can do formatting on text and cells and coloring, spell checks. If you want to go run the sanity checks that we just did as part of the flow down process during your QFD development of a QFD matrix, there is an automatic check that will perform those sanity checks. You can sort. Okay, you can sort by text, you can sort by importances, completenesses, technical weights, whatever you desire. Options for which information in the house of quality do you want to view. So within this worksheet, I can select among the various fields associated with the watts which ones I want to view and which ones I want to hide. And then the same for the hows, the various fields associated with hows. I can select which ones I want to view on the worksheet and which ones I want to hide. And so various other options for things you can do. Okay, so many features available. Another one that I haven't mentioned with the other tools, if I right click on a cell, one of the options would be to format it, insert at that point, or annotate that cell. So you can go in and put a comment, add a comment to the cell, and I'll add this, and now this other information will be added as additional information to support your process of completing this. Okay. So with this, my objective was to kind of give you an overview of the QFD process. You can see that we still have our affinity diagram, we still have our AHP, we have our QFDs that we've set up, and all of this is documented for you and maintained within a particular workbook for this design problem that we may be addressing. Okay. So through this tutorial, hopefully you've seen basically how the simple interface, how we can use it to create a QFD matrix, editing this matrix or this template by adding and deleting rows and columns, what's and hows, various formatting options, comments, hyperlinks, the computation of numerical results that can use to help you get clarity and understanding of how certain things impact a particular solution. The built-in check function that basically performs a sanity check on your QFD matrix to make sure that basic things have been completed before you go on to the next step. And then the flow down of information from one house of quality to the next house of quality, and you can continue transferring information between house of quality worksheets within the Triptych software. And all the functionality is available from toolbars or right-click menus. So in summary, what we've demonstrated is the next step of the process of how to translate needs and the requirements and flow down these requirements to lower levels. In the subsequent tutorials, what we'll look at then is addressing the other areas of the SDI tools and the Triptych package, and how all of these support the overall product development, system engineering, design for Six Sigma process, supports you in organizing information, and really promotes the sharing of information through these easily used Excel worksheets once you've completed it. And basically take methods that we've all known about for a long time, enhance your ability to use them, to get benefit from them, and enhance your productivity as part of a development activity. So I want to thank you for viewing this tutorial. Once again, if you have questions or comments, please give me a call or send me an email. And if you want to go to our website at stat-design.com, view the other information that's available on the website, and then also if you want to download the tools, you're welcome to do so and use those and evaluate them for your applications. So thank you very much, and I hope that you'll take the time to view other tutorials available from the Statistical Design Institute. Thank you.